Hello everyone and welcome to your yoga practice. This class is designed for athletes to help balance out the intense physical demands that come with training and competition. Yoga can be an incredibly powerful complement to athletic performance. It helps to improve flexibility, which helps prevent injuries, but it also increases mobility, strength, and mental focus. That being said, this video will still serve you even if you're not an athlete and you're just looking to improve strength, mobility, and focus. So let's begin in a child's pose. With your knees as wide as the borders of the mat and the big toes touching, go ahead and ease the hips back to the heels. Relax the forehead down to the mat between your arms, and we'll take a moment to drop in. Take a few moments to ground yourself by observing the breath, becoming aware of the steady and rhythmic flow of your inhale and your exhale. Adding on from here, walk your right fingertips forward just a little bit further, lifting the right elbow off the mat. You can even tent your fingertips to make some space to slide your left arm underneath the right. Left palm faces down. You can gaze underneath the right bicep towards the side and use the leverage of the arms to twist your chest open towards the right as you continue to reach the hips back and down towards the heels. Release this nice long hold, coming back through center, and simply switch over to the other side. So lifting the left elbow from the floor, thread the right arm underneath. You can lay the side of your head, the temple or the cheekbone down on the floor. You have the option to come up onto tented fingertips with the left hand and really focus on rotating your chest over towards the left side of the mat. But do your best to keep your hips back and down on the heels, and take a few deep breaths here. Let's release this second side, reaching both hands back towards the top of the mat. Begin to crawl your hands in towards you to lift yourself up to a kneeling position and gaze towards the front of your mat. Glide your knees in together so the inner thighs are squeezing together. I'm just going to move forward a little bit on the mat. And we'll take a gentle back bend to start off. Take your hands behind you with the fingertips facing back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together as you lift the sternum up towards the sky and lift the chin without crunching the head all the way back. Imagine hugging the upper arm bones towards each other behind the back as you press the heart forward and up, and take a few deep breaths. Tuck your chin to your chest as you straighten out through the spine. Come forward on the hands just for a moment here so that you can tuck your toes under behind you. Try to keep the knees and the insides of the feet still together. And you might have to use your hands to get the little pinky toes as well, as I'm doing here. And then begin to walk your hands in towards the thighs and up onto the thighs as you stack your spine so shoulders are on top of the hips for screaming toe pose. We are going to hold this one for a little bit longer to get a really good stretch through the arches of the feet. And I find with this one, generally at first it doesn't feel like too much, but after a few seconds it really starts to build in intensity. Now, don't be afraid if that is happening. If the feet are starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable, that's totally normal. In fact, that's what we want. Just make sure you're not pushing to the point of pain. So if you do start to feel pain, you can walk your hands forward and take a little bit of weight out of the heels. Otherwise, sit with me here. Continue to use the breath to navigate the discomfort you may feel in your body. We're almost there. Great work. Let's release. So coming forward to hands and knees once more. You can untuck your toes and just tap the tops of your feet, pitter-patter along the mat a couple of times before lowering the hips back down to the heels. Knees and feet are still together. Take your hands behind you, similar to what we did earlier, but this time instead of finding a backward bend, we're going to stretch the ankles by lifting the knees off of the mat. A little bit goes a long way, so you don't need to lift the knees super high to feel a stretch in the tops of the feet. Focus on breathing into that area, tops of the feet, ankles, and shins. If you have a little more space, you can move the hands back and lift the knees up slightly higher. And then gently release the knees back down towards the mat. Walk your hands forward and bring yourself into a tabletop position. On your inhale, let your belly sag down as you lift the tailbone, pull the heart forward and gaze forward. Exhale to round the spine, apply pressure through all 10 fingers, tuck your chin to your chest. Again, full body inhale as you drag the heart forward through the gateway of the shoulders, pull the shoulders back and down, and exhale to round. Think about hollowing out the body as you pull the navel into the spine. Inhaling to arch. And exhale, really feel each vertebra of the spine move here, this ripple-like motion. Let's go one more time. Inhale, belly down, heart forward, shoulders back. And exhale to round, feel the skin of the upper back stretch out. On your next inhale, meet me in a neutral spine position, lightly engaging through the core. Try to keep it nice and slow, working on our mobility with this next transition. Extend your right leg behind you, keep the hips level. Reach your left fingertips forward. As you push down through the right hand, embrace the core, sweep your right leg out to the side, and just for a moment, try not to let it drop down. Then you can flex your right foot, lower your right foot down to the floor, lower the left hand down, and we're going to heel toe the right foot the rest of the way to the front of the mat, bringing the right hand outside of the right foot for a low lunge. Lift your chest away from the thigh, reach the arms overhead, and we're going to pulse forward. So as you exhale, allow the hips to glide forward. Right knee can come slightly in front of the right heel. Just make sure not to lift your right heel off the mat. And then as we inhale, you can ease out and pull the hips back. Again, exhale, letting something go as you send the hips forward, and inhale to pull it back. One more time, exhale, gently pulse forward, open up the front of the left hip. Inhale, pull it back, and now keep the legs there. Reach your left hand to the front and right hand to the back. Lower body stays the same. Imagine you're twisting just from the belly button upwards as you spread the arms wide, finding lots of space across chest. Reach the left hand down inside of the right foot, right arm up to the sky, gaze up to the right thumb for an easy twist in our low lunge. You can choose to stay here or bend your back knee and grab onto your foot with your hand from the outside edge. Keep your chest turned towards the side, so try not to let your right shoulder roll forward and try to keep the gaze up over the right shoulder, breathing into the front of the left hip. You may even get a nice stretch in the left quadricep muscle as well, which is great for athletes. If you took your bind, gently release, bring your right hand back down outside of the right foot. Left knee stays grounded as you pull the hips back, shifting into a half split. Walk your hands right back underneath your shoulders. Flex your right foot. You can bend the right knee if the hamstring is feeling really tight. As you inhale, pull the chest forward. Think about lengthening the spine. And as you exhale, find a soft bend in the elbows as you surrender the chest down towards the right thigh. For stability, you might grab a block for underneath your left hand or simply place your left palm flat on the floor. Add a twist by reaching your right arm up towards the sky. Just like in our twisted lunge, gaze up towards the thumb and energetically pull your right hip crease towards the back of the mat like you're squeezing your inner thighs together to get a little bit more of a stretch into the IT band as we rotate through the upper body. Release your twist, gazing down to the mat as you lower your right hand back down. You can move the block out of the way if you used it under your left hand. Lunge back into your right knee. Wiggle the left knee forward just a little bit. And then extend your right leg back behind you, returning to our three-legged tabletop. Gently lower your right knee down, resetting for the other side. On your inhale, extend the left leg behind you, keep the hips level and the core lightly engaged, and then reach your right fingertips forward. Find your balance. Without dropping the left foot down, begin to extend your left leg out towards the side, keeping as much height as you can for just a moment. And then flex your left foot, lower your left foot down, right hand comes down, and heel toe your left foot to the front of the mat in between the hands. On your inhale, rise up, reach the arms over your head, low crescent lunge. As you exhale, think about gliding your left knee forward as you press the hips forward and down to stretch deeply into the right hip flexor. And then inhale to ease back out and squeeze inner thighs together. Twice more. Exhale, slide it forward. Inhale, pull it back, keeping control the whole time. Last one, pulse forward and return back. Now hold this strong lunge position. Twist to your left, reach your left hand to the back, right hand to the front. Imagine you're pulling your right side ribcage towards the right hand, left side ribcage towards the left, super wide across the chest. And then maintaining that width across the chest, lower your right hand down and left arm up towards the sky as you draw the left shoulder blade onto your back for our twisted lunge. You may choose to stay like this, or you can find your bind, squeezing the right heel in and grabbing on with your left hand. Keep the right side body really long here and gaze up over the left shoulder. Gently let go of your right foot. Take your left hand back down to the outside of your front foot and begin to pull your hips back for Ardha Hanumanasana, half split. You want to end up with the right hip lined up over the right knee. So if you need to work your right knee back a little bit, please do so. Line up your shoulders over your wrists, flex your left foot, and exhale to surrender, chest down towards the left thigh for a big stretch in the left hamstring. And placing the right hand on the floor or grabbing your block inside of the front leg for your right hand, twist your chest open towards the left, reaching left fingertips high and drawing the left hip crease back in space. Keep a little bit of brightness and action in the left foot by continuing to flex the toes as you spike your heel down into the mat. Move slow as you lower your left hand back down. If you have the block underneath your right hand, go ahead and move it off to the side. Lunge back into your left knee. Wiggle your right knee in just a little bit here so you can extend the left leg back into three-legged tabletop and exhale to lower left knee down to the floor, regular tabletop. Walk your hands forward, one handprint along the mat. Make sure they're still shoulder width apart and then bow the elbows down. You can gaze down to the mat between the forearms and begin to move your knees back, keeping the hips lined up over top of the knees until you can melt the chest down towards the floor for a puppy pose stretch. You can place your forehead on the floor, lift the hip creases towards the sky the same way you would for downward facing dog. And if you'd like, you can bring your palms together at the top of the mat, keep the elbows down, bend your elbows, and bring the thumbs to graze the back of the head or the nape of the neck, and this will really intensify the stretch into the triceps. Let this stretch go. If you bent the elbows, straighten back out through the arms. Place your hands, palms down on the mat. Lift your forehead. And as you walk the hands in, come through tabletop position. Let's tuck the toes under. Send the hips back and up into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog, hanging the head between the arms, pushing firmly through the hands to press the heart back towards the thighs. And find a little bit of easy movement, bending one knee and then the other. Really over exaggerate if you can so that you feel this not only in the legs but even in the arches of the feet and the toes. So a little yoga for the feet. Returning through center, walk your hands in towards your feet, bending your knees as the hands come closer to the feet to find your standing forward fold, allowing the head to hang down, releasing any work happening in the back of the neck. You're going to love this next stretch. It's really great for the IT band. Cross your right ankle behind the left. You can bend both knees for some space here as you walk both of your hands over towards the left side of the mat and kind of lean the hips over to the right. Your left knee can stay bent, but try to straighten out through the right leg as you press the hips over towards the right to get this really deep stretch into the IT band, so the outer part of the right hip. Make sure you're supporting your practice here with a few nice deep breaths. Return your hands to the front of the mat. Keep your legs crossed. Bring a bend back into both knees. Squeeze the thighs together for stability as you slowly roll all the way up to stand and extend the arms overhead. Gazing forward, bend your left elbow and place your left hand between your shoulder blades, and then grab onto the left elbow with the right hand. Lean over towards the right side. Squeeze your thighs together and press your hips to the left for a really deep side body stretch. So we're even getting into the serratus anterior and the tricep muscle when we hold the arms like this overhead. Straighten out and rise back up through center. You can release the grip of your arms overhead. And as you do, pour the weight into your left leg. Lift your right knee up in front of your chest. Grab onto your right shin. It might feel good to circle out the right ankle a few times here, just getting a little bit of movement going. Or you can point and flex the right foot. Then take the left hand to the outside of the right knee and extend your right arm back behind you, looking back towards your right thumb as you peel the heart open towards the right side. Draw the right hip bone down, reach the tailbone down so we're not bumping the hips over to the side, they're still level. And then as you release, right hand comes down, fold all the way into Uttanasana at the back of the mat, preparing for the other side. So this time you can step your left foot behind the right. So the knees kind of make a ball and socket type of fitting here. Bending both of them to start, walk your hands over towards the right side. Lean your hips over towards the left, and then maybe work the left leg into a straighter position. You can also be on the outer edge of the left foot, so the left foot doesn't have to be flat on the floor. Breathe into the left IT band and the side body. Let the head hang. Crawl your hands back towards the center, bend into both knees and slowly rise up, reaching the arms overhead at the top. This time placing the right hand between the shoulder blades and grabbing onto the right elbow with the left hand. Lean over towards the left, but counter this by pressing your hips over towards the right and squeezing the inner thighs together to maintain balance and stability. Rise up through center, put all of your weight into your right leg. Lift your left knee up in front of you and take your hands down to grab onto your left knee or shin. Gently squeezing left knee in towards the chest without leaning back. You can find a little bit of movement in the left ankle. Pause with the left foot flexed. Take your right hand to the outside of the left knee. Turn your chest left side as you reach back with your left hand. Feel this continuous resistance between hand and knee. So press the knee into the hand into the knee to help with stability. Release your left foot back down to the earth as you reach the arms overhead on the inhale. Exhale to fold and surrender, hang the head. Heel toe your feet wider than your hips, maybe even to the borders of the mat with the toes out and the heels in. And then bend your knees and lower yourself down to your Malasana yogic squat. Take your peace fingers, index and middle finger and thumb, and wrap them around the big toes on either side with the arms inside of the legs. Inhale, think about drawing the heart forward and lifting through the crown of the head. And then as you exhale, fold, straightening through the legs, lifting the hips and dropping the head down. And again, inhale, tailbone down, knees bend, crown of the head pulls up and chest forward. Exhale, keep resistance between your hands and your toes as you fold and pull up on the toes, shoulder blades away from the ears. Inhale, drop it down. Keep this length through the spine as you grow tall through the top of the head. And exhale, resistance of hands against feet as you pull up on the toes and let the upper body hang down. This time, hold for just a moment and then release. Walking your hands forward into a downward dog. You can heel toe your feet back into hip width apart. Keep the hip creases lifted, hands shoulder width apart, and once more pressing the heart back towards the thighs. Tuck your chin to your chest, ripple forward to a high plank position, and then bend the elbows and gently release the chest and belly all the way down to the earth, untucking your toes at the bottom. Lay your left forearm across the top border of the mat so that you can use that as a cushion to rest the forehead on top of. Bend your right knee behind you and use your right hand to grab onto your right foot and squeeze the heel in towards the glute. Press the pubic bone, the front of the hips down into the floor to slightly tuck the tailbone and isolate this stretch more into the right quadricep muscle. Gently release, lowering your right foot back down to the earth, and we'll set up for the other side. You can lay your right forearm across the top of the mat, rest your forehead there, bend your left knee, reach back with your left hand, and grab onto the left foot, starting to squeeze the left heel in towards the glute to stretch the left side quadricep. Once more, pressing the pubic bone down into the floor. Release your left foot, take both forearms or both hands and stack them at the top of the mat. And one more time, we'll rest the forehead there. Walk your feet out a little bit wider to the back corners of the mat. So the knees will open up just a little bit, and then bend your knees and windshield wiper the legs side to side. It can feel really good to let the hips kind of sway or wiggle side to side in this one as well to release the lower back. Come back through center, flex your feet and bring the heels together. You may even widen the knees a little bit more and allow the inner sides of the feet to lower down towards the floor in this prone butterfly shape. This will be a really intense stretch for the inner thighs, so your feet may or may not touch the mat. Breathe once more, using the breath to navigate any potential discomfort or intensity you might be feeling in this particular shape. Keep your right knee bent out to the side, but you can start to straighten out your left leg. And the front of the left thigh will be facing down towards the floor. Now you can slide your right knee out to the side so it's more in line with the right hip. And the knee is bent 90 degrees for Ardha Bakasana, half frog. So now we're isolating this inner thigh groin stretch more to the right side. We're gonna roll this one over all the way into a reclined twist. So take your left arm and reach it underneath the right. So kind of threading it through to place your left hand on your right knee. And then as you turn and look towards the opposite side of the mat, reach your right arm back behind you. Your arm can be straight or you can cactus the elbow. Make sure your right shoulder blade is on the floor. Your right knee, of course, does not need to touch the floor. If it feels good, you can apply a little bit of pressure with your left hand to encourage the knee down. Breathe as we enjoy this twist up and down the entire length of the spine. Release the twist by bringing your head back through center and continue to roll all the way through the left side back onto the belly so that we can reset for half frog pose on the other side. This time your right leg will stay straight. Slide the inside of your left knee up, bending the knee 90 degrees so that your knee is in line with your hip. Rest your forehead on stacked forearms or stacked hands at the top of the mat. And allow yourself to enjoy the sense of balance that comes over the body when we take a really intense stretch like this on one side. It feels really good to finally come to the other side and balance things out. Balance is one thing our body craves, so that's why it's important to hold just as long on the second side, breathing and releasing. This time, to come into a twist, we're going to roll through the right side. So you can reach your right arm under the left, place it on the outside of the left knee, and then roll through the right side. Extend your left arm behind you. You can choose whether you want the arm to be straight or the elbow to be bent. Make sure the left shoulder blade is on the floor. Soften your gaze beyond the left fingertips, or you might even like to close your eyes and apply just a little bit of pressure with the right hand against the left knee, getting into the IT band on the left side as we twist through the spine. This time we're just going to roll onto the back. So you can bend both knees in towards the chest as you center your hips on the mat. Wrap your arms around the legs, squeeze the forehead in towards the knees, press the lower back down into the floor as you inhale, and exhale to soften all the way down into your final Shavasana. Extending both legs, allowing the toes to roll open and the arms to rest by your sides. And especially if you are an athlete or an active person, you know how important recovery is in order to perform at your best. So I'll end the video here, but please spend a little bit more time in this final Shavasana. It's especially potent to rest after yoga and mobility work. So take as much time as you need. Make sure to like this video and subscribe for more yoga content, and I'll see you in the next video. Namaste.